What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 326 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, viewable on YouTube, and now with a presenting sponsor, the Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse pod on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Deej coming at you with a very fun episode where we will break down everything that happened in Albany while we were there for opening weekend of the PLL. We'll get you set for Charlotte in week 2 with a phenomenal interview that we just concluded with our guy, the man, the myth, the legend, the king of the drum, as I like to call him, Michael Harrison from your Red Legion. We'll talk about the big old sponsor announcement, and we'll have some fun along the way. But before we get into all of that, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, all that good stuff. It's all OTB LaxPod. Shout out to all of our new followers that came through following the sponsor announcement. And of course, follow Deej at SCS_next great. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form, but those two in particular, because we get the direct analytics to keep on seeing how we're growing. Subscribe. On audio only, you can subscribe, unsubscribe, and resubscribe, and keep doing that, and it plays to the algorithm, and it makes it look like there's new subscribers, so you can do that, but don't forget to resubscribe. But keep on doing that. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content is all on our YouTube channel. We're at 803 subscribers. I know I'm asking for a lot, Deej, but I want to get to 900 before the end of June. That way, going into July, summertime, before the PLL championship, we got to be over 1,000. So keep subscribing, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below your thoughts on everything that went down in week 1 of the PLL, your predictions for week 2, all that good stuff. Leave it in the YouTube comment section. And like I mentioned, guys, we have a presenting sponsor. We announced it. We made the announcement video when we were in Albany. We announced it on Wednesday to a rousing success and positive vibes across the board. The Outside the Box podcast throughout the summer will have a multitude of episodes that are presented by our good friends in a first of its kind strategic partnership with Shootout For Soldiers, a company and a corporation and a charity that has supported us since before DJ was part of the podcast, has supported us since then. And Eric Minio and Alexis Brandolini truly have our best interest at heart when it comes to just the podcast and our successes. And so I reached out to Eric and I said, do you want to work together? Like, it makes too much sense not to. And then we hopped on a Zoom call and had a multitude of meetings. It was a process and making sure things could happen both on their end and on our end. And we finally came to an agreement, and I am very proud of this deal coming together. DJ was involved, through communication from everything. And when I told Deej about everything, he was over the moon excited about everything. But first of its kind, with Shootout For Soldiers, with anybody like us, and they are beyond excited for what is to come. You're going to get stories, content, collaboration, and a whole lot more between Outside the Box and Shootout For Soldiers. Their website is linked in the description of this episode. You're going to see a sponsor bar up here right now anyway as well, telling you to go click that link And they have Keystone events all summer long. It kicked off already in May. So that event is done. So you missed out already if you didn't get down to Jacksonville, North Carolina. But their next Keystone event is not this weekend, but next weekend in Ohio, June 15th and 16th. And then they are on Long Island, July 11th and 12th. I think your echo cancellation just rang in my ear, but we're good. We're good. July 11th and 12th on Long Island. They are at Canandaigua, July 27th and 28th. They're in Virginia, August 3rd and 4th. And then they're in Baltimore at the USA Lacrosse headquarters on September 7th and 8th. And then I believe it's called Wall Ball for Warriors will happen Veterans Day weekend. That's just a global kind of like on the internet kind of thing, and everybody's sending in different videos and stuff, but there's going to be a whole lot of content coming to you guys from us and Shootout for Soldiers throughout the entire summer. And this is just like the start of this partnership, which is just so exciting to like wrap our brains around, that this podcast in particular, and obviously it's in conjunction with our company Underground Sports Philadelphia. But like truly grateful for Shootout for Soldiers, Eric, Alexis, their entire crew. We're overwhelmingly like welcoming and open to so many different content ideas that we can work on together. And, you know, it's just another step forward for us and all the listeners who listen to this show every week. You're a big part of why stuff like this can happen. And we got some other stuff in the works too, but like Shootout for Soldiers has been beyond unbelievable to us for years now. And I am so stoked to be able to, you know, hit the ground running with them and get to work this summer and hopefully beyond. But we're gonna be pumping out content like crazy alongside the homies. And there's nothing better than being able to go to work on the internet with your homies.
I mean, that's the way the sport really grows, is collaboration. And that's the cool thing about lacrosse, is it brings so many different types of life together. And that's a big part of why we're getting with Shootout for Soldiers, is introducing, you know, a separate part of lacrosse players and a separate part of lacrosse world with our fans who may not understand exactly what it's like for them in the lacrosse world. I think that's another thing, is everybody has a unique experience in the lacrosse world, depending on, you know, your background and what you've been through and how you got connected to the game. I think that all shapes how you view the game. And I'm just excited to bring people's not only personal story, but their story with lacrosse to so many different people, and continuing to branch out those avenues. That's really what I'm most excited about with this.
Yeah, they've got some awesome stuff on their website as well, including their kits that they have available to, you know, put on your own Shootout for Soldiers event in your hometown. So definitely check those out and check out their entire storefront as well for the Shootout for Soldiers gear. I'm sure some new stuff will be rolling out for the 2024 season, but can't express how stoked we are to have Shootout for Soldiers, you know, join the Outside the Box family in terms of partners and sponsors, and be a part of Underground Sports Philadelphia as well. And Alexis with her Philly ties, it makes it that much cooler for her. And just seeing us grow together and alongside one another, it's going to be in tandem, and it's going to be really, really special. And, you know, once I got into lacrosse in 2018, 2019, and just seeing that this started as a high school project from three people that we both admire heavily in Tyler Steinhardt, RJ Kaminsky, and Brett Roberts. Like, those guys are some of the best and most creative minds out there, not just in lacrosse, but just in media in general. So we're stoked to, you know, be part of this next chapter for Shootout that was started by Tyler, and then obviously RJ and Brett being along for a huge majority of it as well, before their acquisition with a previous partner in 2021, and now they're back to doing things on their own. So we're very pumped about this and very thankful to welcome Shootout for Soldiers into the OTB Nation family. So if you see our social logos looking a little different, any week that we have the episode presented by Shootout, you'll see a little bit of a different logo, a little bit of a different branding across, but very pumped and this week's episode presented by Shootout For Soldiers. Speaking of, we made the announcement in Albany. Deej, PLL Albany is in the books. Another week 1 has come to a close, and it was quite the weekend. The championship game rematch between the Archers and Water Dogs was a lot of deja vu. Still, in my opinion, the best game of the weekend, just in terms of the Archers looking like a juggernaut, the Water Dogs trying to figure out things early on with a new coach, and then the second half rolls along and the Dogs never say die mentality comes in. They go on a run, and then it comes down to that final possession, and Brett Dobson just standing on his head like an absolute maniac that he is. The Archers come away with a 12-11 victory in high caliber, entertaining, high energy fashion. The New York Atlas, Bulls on parade in Albany at their homecoming weekend. They win 19-12 in their first game against the championship series champion Boston Cannons. And then on Sunday, Chaos come in and make franchise history and win their very first opening weekend game ever, and beat the Denver Outlaws 16-11. And then the Bulls went on another parade, and they win 17-13 against the Maryland Whipsnakes for what I believe is their second straight win against the Whips. Impressive weekend from a lot of teams. Some unfortunate injuries happened along the way that luckily one does not seem to be too serious, as he is on the active roster for this week, and that is our guy, Blaze Riorden. Suffered what in human terms and easy to understand terms, a left knee dislocation. I'm not comparing what happened to Blaze to what happened to me, but I've personally had a left knee dislocation in my life. Very different circumstances of how I suffered my injury versus how Blaze suffered his. But I noticed it right away what Blaze was trying to do on the field. He was trying to pop his knee back into place himself. And I did that exact same thing when I dislocated my knee. And what the EMT told me when I told them that I did that, they said that was the best case scenario thing that you could have done, because if you're able to do it on your own and it's kind of your own body fixing itself, you prevent any potential ligament damage from somebody else doing it and not knowing your body per se. Blaze did that, and it seems like I would assume he's going to be the backup goalie this weekend. But he is a tough son of a bitch, and it wouldn't shock me one bit if he's trying to get out there and be in cage for Chaos. But what Blaze did by putting his knee back into place himself probably helped potentially save his entire season, where he didn't need a doctor or somebody else to, maneuver a part of his body and not know where certain ligaments were because of the dislocation. And, we'll luckily be able to see Blaze Riorden a lot more this season, potentially because of it.
Y'all hear this, man? He think he got healing hands. That's pretty much what I heard. But no,
that is not what I said whatsoever.
No,
I'm just saying I can personally relate to our guy, Blaze Riorden.
And you healed yourself with your hands. No,
I didn't heal myself. I healed myself. I prevented further damage with my hands. I healed myself with crutches and a giant ass leg brace for 6 weeks. So Blaze is a tougher son of a bitch than I am, because I would not be back out on a lacrosse field less than a week later if that happened to me, because man, was that a pain in the ass to deal with in the recovery process.
All right, I'm gonna chill. My biggest thing from the weekend is Boston really misses Jack Kilty. Him getting hurt in training camp was huge for them, because their defense had some moments where they looked pretty solid, but they just weren't there. But when you lose a guy who's a great cover guy and is amazing in terms of communicating and being a leader, it's very hard to adjust to that, especially within a couple of days' notice. So it's really tough, and I do expect them to bounce back at some point and really kind of get that defensive side together. But it was just it was a tough weekend, especially with an offensive team that already had a little bit of chemistry. Like everything people were talking about with Shelley and Dox and Xander all being back together, it rang true. And I mean, it's impossible for Jeff Teat not to fit in. I mean, the guy's just good. If you're open, he'll put it in your stick. Literally, all you have to be is open, and wherever your stick is, it's just going to magically get there. Like that. That's just how the guy is, and all you got to do is shoot it. Like, so of course he's going to fit in with three guys who already, have figured it out. And Miles is Miles, so he's going to get his. So their offense was definitely flowing, and then they were struggling on the defensive end in terms of not having Kilty. So I saw the first game early on as it was playing out. I was like, oh, that's definitely how this is going to go. And it made a lot of sense. Everybody else, all the question marks are on the offensive end, and not like, oh my God, what are they going to do? Question marks. Who do you put where, and why do you put them there? And do you need to move this person around when people get healthy, when the visas are finally figured out? Who's going to make the roster? Who isn't? Who are you putting at what position? That's where all the questions are for these teams. The talent on the field in week 1 was great, but it's only going to get better when you start adding these rookies in and these visa guys who haven't figured everything out. It's only going to get better. So there's going to be more questions there. That's just what I notice is the offensive talent did take a jump. A lot of the defenses are older, a lot of veteran guys on the defensive side, and they're able to kind of wrangle everybody in and get things together. For the most part, the defenses all around looked good. There were just times where they didn't look as well. Offenses were great, but they're only going to get better, which I think is going to cause tons of discourse all over, whether it's Discord, PLL chat, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, with people getting cut, people not making rosters, people moving positions. The conversations are going to be all over the place.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaways, I should say, from this weekend were people need to stop underestimating Andy Towers and what he's able to do in terms of roster construction. That dude is a fucking genius in terms of piecing together players that he knows will play well together, as evidenced in their win. And sure, it's the Denver Outlaws, and there's still a shit ton of question marks about them across the board. But to see that team, who most of them had never played together outside of training camp, come in, it's been built a ton through free agency. Most of your offensive guys from last year were not back for a multitude of reasons. And Josh Byrne didn't have to do too much in that game for them to win. That, to me, is just 18 knows what buttons to push, and Chaos are going to be a very fun team to watch all year long.
I think he may have also told Josh to kind of just relax and like really play off the rookies and let them get their feet under them. I mean, the midfield was tearing it up. And
Andy Towers unlocked from the parking lot for the first time since 2022.
To me, it's like, why use Josh if you don't necessarily need him? Like, of course, let him get a couple dodges in so he can get the feel, get some shots off, get used to being back on the field. But I wouldn't have pushed it either. I mean, he was going to have a great matchup in JT Giles Harris or Mike Manley, whoever they decided to throw out on him over there, or even Jesse Bernhardt. Like, it didn't matter really. That was going to be a great matchup for him, but there was no reason to really push that when you have Jules coming into the offense at attack. You have Ross Scott. You have Shane Knobloch. You have all these different guys, one after another.
Minicus.
You still have Minicus. So,
and yet Ian McKay led the team in scoring along with Sergio Perknick.
Right. Run them and let them kind of get their footing under them and let them get the pace of the PLL and their dodging and everything under them against a team that was going to have a lot of question marks. It made tons of sense to me as a coach.
And KJ scored in his new number, which is still weird to me. And Dana, I need answers. Why did Kyle change his number? We need the hard hitting journalism. My next big takeaway is that Archer's Water Dogs is still the most competitive matchup in the league. We've seen that transpire over the past couple of years now, especially last year where both games were high scoring, 1-goal games, championship game, 1-goal game, this game, a 1-goal game. Those two teams just pound for pound match up so well against each other. And whenever they're on the schedule playing each other, it's must-see TV. And the same went for this week. Sure, the Water Dogs got off to a slow start, but then they went on a run. They figured things out. They adjusted well. And to me, that is a great sign for a new coaching staff. Is you go into halftime down, I forget what the score was at halftime. I'm pulling it up right now. You go into halftime down 10-4. So you're down 6 at halftime. And you make the adjustments to come out, score 7 goals in the second half. You shut out the Archers in the fourth quarter. Like, to me, that's a great sign of improvement and in-game adjustment from a new coaching staff, and for the assistant coaches, young coaches, in their first PLL game, going up against seasoned veteran coaches in the coaching chess match that you get in the PLL. So that's a great sign for me, looking at the Water Dogs and what to expect from the coaching staff side of things, and just knowing that this team is never going to quit. No matter what the score is, they're going to find a way to turn on the burners, find what works for them. Coach Tierney said it, they're not playing hero ball. Everyone's going to get involved. The ball is going to move around. This team's going to be fine. It's a 1-goal loss opening weekend in a non-conference game. And I know the conference thing really doesn't mean too much unless you're winning the conference in terms of the postseason bye and everything overall. But in a week where we see the Atlas get a 7 and a 4-goal win, you see Chaos get a 5-goal win. When we know that goal differential matters in this league as much as it does, to only lose by 1 is not the end of the world for the Water Dogs. The Archers are still an extremely talented team. They made big-time adjustments in that, throughout the game. Sure, things got away from them a little bit in the second half, but for a team to be throwing out effectively a brand new defense, having 6 guys playing that were either rookies or second-year guys throughout that entire game, they did what they had to do to come away with a victory. Grant Ament looks healthy, which is a big boost for them. Tom Schreiber was ripping a 2, and effectively that won them the game. That matchup, no matter who, when, where, why, or how, is appointment television in the PLL at this point, and I will get my popcorn ready anytime I see Utah Archers, Philadelphia Water Dogs. And then my final big 3 takeaway from this weekend is Atlas have an identity. They finally have their identity. Sure, Jeff Teat has been on the team, for the past few seasons. You've had, veteran leaders on that team. You've had guys like Danny Logan, Trevor Baptiste, and personalities, but they haven't had an identity. They have found their identity now. And Mike Pressler talked about it to us after the first game. It might have been where he said, or it might have been on media day. I forget which day it was, but he told us, I signed late when I got hired as the coach and GM of this team. And, he missed out on free agency and didn't really get to build the team to what he wanted the team to be. And you can kind of see his fingerprints on this team a little bit and how this team is going to play moving forward. And it's cool to see each team, almost outside of the Outlaws, still have an identity to them and an evolving identity if they've already had one. But it's cool to see the Atlas finally have one, because it feels like every year the PLL, they really have not had an identity. They've had personalities, but they haven't had an identity.
Well, they had the supposed to be super team identity year 1.
Those were personalities in my book.
Sure.
You had a lot of personalities that had played together previously, but that wasn't what culminated into being a team identity, because after year 1, you blew it up.
Uh-huh. I hear you.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I said I hear you. I hear you. I don't think much has changed about Atlas. They just have better players. I think their identity is very similar to year 1. They're just stacked with a bunch of guys that happen to have played together. And they're adding a few guys that haven't to that, and they're good. I really don't think much has changed. Maybe their mindset on the whole thing has changed, but to me, they're still Atlas. Especially because they haven't necessarily proven anything.
They just feel more. They feel like more of a team rather than just a bunch of guys that are wearing the same uniform.
I mean, that's fine. But, like, not much has changed.
I said to tell me I'm wrong.
I did.
No, you just say I hear you.
I hear you.
That's not saying I'm wrong.
I just explained how I felt about it. You explain how you felt about it. I don't think either of our opinions could be wrong. I just think we don't agree.
Let me know in the YouTube comment section.
Oh, no. You are not going to pit our fans into a competition between us.
It's not. I just want to see who agrees with who. It's not a competition. That's a poll.
You make it in a competition. A poll.
Not a competition.
Yes, it is.
No.
We ain't got to do all that.
Competition would be let's go capture the flag and see who gets there faster.
Oh, but where's the flag going to be?
I'd lose either way. I can't run.
I figured it.
Remember, top of the show, bad knee. Bad knee. Also, fat.
I know who I need to get caught in a zombie apocalypse with.
Not me.
Yeah, you. At least they can get to you first.
I'll keel over. Done. It's time to go.
Oh, that's hilarious. But no, yeah, I don't think much has changed. But I do think they are more excited to play with each other.
So yeah, your standings after week 1. Atlas at the top of the table, 2-0 with a +11 score differential. Water Dogs, according to the website. Well, this is for the East, not the overall league. So Water Dogs are second in the East at 0-1 with a -1 score differential. Whip Snakes 0-1 with a -4 score differential. And the Boston Cannons at the bottom of the Eastern Conference with a -7 score differential. Atlas, only Eastern Conference team to win this weekend. And then in the West, the Carolina Chaos 1-0 with a +5 score differential. The Utah Archers 1-0 with a +1. The Redwoods have not played yet. And then the Denver Outlaws 0-1 with a -5 score differential. Which brings us to Charlotte week, Deej. And we have some game day rosters. We have people up in arms already. But I am going to start things off with the injury report here that was put out yesterday by the league on Wednesday. Blaze Riorden is listed on the injury report as doubtful, but he is on the game day roster. So I would assume he is the backup, and we will see. Hopefully nothing happens to Austin Kaut, but if something does, who knows what happens then. And then Shane Knobloch has a right quad contusion. He is questionable, but it seems like he's going to play. Chris Merle for your California Redwoods has a left ankle sprain. He is questionable. Sean Scanoni with right knee pain is out. To me, that's also kind of concerning that 2 goalies had knee issues after Albany weekend. Did see a tweet that they are apparently changing Albany's turf this weekend, which is a bummer. But Sean Scanoni is out. It'll be Owen McElroy getting the start. Jack Myers has a right hamstring strain. He is questionable. Brian Costabile is out for your New York Atlas with a right ankle sprain. I did notice in that second game he was limping quite a bit, especially in that second half. He is out. Connor Schellenberger with a right groin strain is questionable. And Gavin Adler with a right calf strain is questionable. Wheaton Jacobois has a left hamstring strain. He is questionable. No Jake Pulver again this weekend for your Boston Cannons. He has a right adductor strain and is out. Adam Gittleman has left ankle pain and is questionable. And Cade Van Raphorst has left knee pain and is questionable. I also believe he doesn't have to be listed because he's on the PUP list, but Tucker Dordovic is out for the Whip Snakes this week as well. Stags told us he's going to be out at least 3 weeks, but I think they put him on the PUP list last week, so they don't have to list him on the injury report moving forward. Biggest takeaway, obviously, is Blaze, but also Sean Scanoni out. So you're going to have Owen McElroy starting, and that also led to the big up in arms moment online that swirled around the discourse pot, and that is Connor Farrell being released to the player pool by the Denver Outlaws so that they could sign their second goalie, which I'm blanking on who it was. I'm pulling up the transaction sheet as we speak.
Matt Note.
That's right. Connor Farrell will find a place in this league somewhere. But it made sense from the Outlaws' perspective of things to do it now, obviously, because one, you need to roster 2 goalies every week. It is a league mandated thing. So Matt Note makes his way onto the roster with Scanoni out. Number 2, the Outlaws have a bye week next week. They just have to get through this week with one face-off guy like they did last week, and Weirman looked good against Chaos and against Nick Rowlett. Then they're on a bye, and then there's a league bye. So you're not playing lacrosse for 2 weeks after this week if you're on the Denver Outlaws. To me, I think the Boston Cannons are probably going to be the more likely scenario for Connor Farrell to end up on a roster because no offense to Zach Tucci, he just was not it for them this week. And sure, it's Trevor Baptiste, but it made sense why it was Connor Farrell. They felt comfortable with Weirman after seeing what he did in week 1, and then they're off for 2 weeks. You need a goalie. That's why it happened.
I don't know that he has a spot in the league. He has a turnover problem and cannot get the ball to the offense in this format for what we know. That's a problem. What's the point in being a face-off guy and getting possession if you're going to turn it over? I think that's the real problem here. Did it help that Scanoni is hurt? No. I think that is part of the reason why this happened, and it was an easy avenue for them to push him out. But I think they were already kind of looking to move on because the 32-second shot clock, you either need a guy who can create offense or is going to win them forward or win them into a position where you can get the ball to your offense. He's often winning them backward or turning it over. There's no point to have that on your team. I get him being a big name. I get him being, like a center of media attention and like people's favorite player, but like it is what it is. If you're not performing, you don't play. And so far from what we've seen the last couple of years, he's not performing at a level good enough to play.
I love when I try to click on a player profile, it just brings me to the app on the website. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, from just the logistics standpoint, that's why Connor Farrell got released. Like, you needed a second goalie on the roster to supplement Scanoni being injured, and you drafted Weirman. He looked good in his first game, and then you have a double bye. So people up in arms from that's just breaking it down in the easiest of terms there. Sucks for Sean. Hopefully he gets back healthy. And then the other bit of news too was that the Whip Snakes released Will Mark, so he is available in the player pool for any team that feels that they also need goalie help. He is available. The Whip Snakes released him, and Ricky Miazon is back for the Redwoods, and Chase Yeager was released to the player pool. So good to see Ricky back from his injury from Champ Series. And the Whip Snakes
going to play this week, though.
Correct. The the Whipsnake signed Jack Corus in that corresponding move of releasing Will Mark. So interesting stuff there. Challen Rogers and Eric Law last week were put on the PUP list, so that sucks for both of them. It sucks not seeing them. But matchups this week are very fun. Chaos Homecoming weekend is going to be a doozy of a time. It kicks off on Friday night at 6 Eastern between the Redwoods in their season opener against the Carolina Chaos. And then we have the Utah Archers and the Denver Outlaws at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then we kick things off on ESPN2 June 8th, Saturday at 5 Eastern. Atlas Chaos, which I do find it funny that it's being billed as the two undefeateds when Chaos played the day before, and that could potentially change if they end up losing to the Redwoods. So that whole marketing thing is very funny to me. And then we wrap up 7:30 Eastern time on Saturday. The Whipsnakes taking on the Boston Cannons. Lots of fun matchups, lots of interesting matchups to take away from this weekend. And obviously the Water Dogs are on a bye this week, so no dogs for all our Philly people out there. But what are you looking forward to from Charlotte weekend, Deej, with these matchups?
Obviously, I'm looking forward to the Redwoods opener. Wanted to see them last week. It really sucks that they weren't at opening weekend, but I will definitely be glued to a TV screen, a phone screen, a laptop screen, some kind of screen at 6 p.m. so I can watch my Redwoods go to action. And I think that game's going to be fun against that new style Carolina offense. We got some new guys on D, and then our offense is always been interesting. Just ready to see them get out there in those new jerseys. Wondering which ones they're going to wear too, but I guess we'll find that out in a little bit. Obviously interested to see if Utah just absolutely deuces on Owen McElroy, or if he's able to kind of come in and make a name for himself and really shine in what I believe will be basically his PLL debut. I believe he's gotten like some time, but I don't think he started a game.
Outside of Champ Series.
I don't think that counts, in my opinion.
I'm just saying that might be the only time that he started.
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up now, though.
And then, honestly, whether they lose to the Redwoods or not, I think game of the weekend is Carolina, New York. That's going to be fun with the way these two offenses are playing right now. And I think that's something that they can both really take advantage of. Is the defenses on the opposite side is going to be more of a chess game in this one between coaching and players. So that's definitely the one I have circled. There's a reason it's been flexed to ESPN2 at 5 p.m. So that'll be fun. But Battle of the Unbeatens, Battle of the Winless to close things out should be interesting. More in terms of the Whipsnakes possibly having a snapback game based upon what happened in week one.
So with Owen McElroy, I just pulled up his player profile. 2023, he's listed as having played in 4 games, but only one game for him shows statistics, and it was August 26th against the Chaos last year, where he had 13 scores against, a 50% save percentage, and had 13 saves. I don't know if he started that game or came in relief of Sean. I can't honestly remember because that was so late in the season that like Chrome were already. I feel like that was that game where like everyone got tossed for fighting and everything. So he might have come in relief or started the second half, but I don't believe he started a game from the jump, like the opening whistle in the PLL.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And that's what I was getting at, is that he hasn't like started a game. I knew he played in time, but
he played in 2 games in the Champ Series in 2023. Was not, and obviously that's a little different in terms of just like how defense is and everything, but I mean, the 2-point arc is only 1 yard out more in regular PLL than what it is in the Champ Series, right? It's a 13-foot arc in Champ Series and then 14 in regular PLL games.
15, 13 on the elbows.
So Champ Series, just something to pay attention to potentially. Champ Series wise, he gave up 9 2-point goals. Could be something that, Chris Bates potentially looks at and says, all right, Tom, go ahead and let it rip, or whoever it may be. Could be something to watch when it comes to scoring and what the over is and all that kind of stuff. I do want to pull that up actually and see what the over is for that game, because that could be something to watch for all you gamblers out there, especially with a guy who's getting his first PLL start in his career going up against the defending champs. That is not always the best formula.
It's the scary formula.
Yeah, no big deal. We just want you to go out there against Grant Ament, Tom Schreiber, Mac O'Keefe, the rest of those boys. Over's 24. I'm genuinely hammering that.
This dude.
24 is the over, and it's our first 2.5-point spread of the season, where the Archers are 2.5-point favorites. Interesting stuff there from this game. But yeah, Owen McElroy getting that start is definitely something to watch when it comes to scoring, when it comes to PLL fantasy, and all of that good stuff. It's going to be interesting to see how the Redwoods play in their debut. No Chris Gray. He is out this week for personal reasons. Everyone up in arms about that. Just relax. Just take a deep breath. It's going to be fine. Genuinely, you and I knowing Nat, he wouldn't have made the trade if he knew Chris Gray was not ever going to be able to play for the team. That's just not how he operates. Chris Gray is going to suit up for the Redwoods at some point this season. Just
I would assume, but hey, never know. And what do they say? First impressions. I think that's the bigger thing about this is I don't think people are like upset that he's not like playing and like are worried about him like not playing. I think everybody was like set like, okay, we're gonna go look at Chris Gray, and now that he's not, it's just planted a seed of doubt to where now people are like they have the whereabouts to say you don't know. We don't like as of right now, we do not know if we're ever going to see Chris Gray in a Redwoods uniform. Like that is a solid fact right now. Because he's not playing this week, we don't know what it's going to be like next week or the week after that. So I think it's more of just a seed of doubt. I'm confident that he'll eventually play.
My counterpoint to that is he showed up for training camp and was at training camp the entire week too.
I mean, yeah, but like as someone who works a certain kind of corporate job, you don't always know when your projects are coming up. And a project is a project. You got to work it regardless of what's going on. Maybe it's something like that. We don't know what his personal issue is. He could, there could be a death in the family, which praying if that is a scenario. Like there's a number of scenarios of why this could be. I think a lot of people are just reacting to the fact that it's now a seed of doubt on if he actually ever puts on a Redwoods uniform when you could have just got a rookie and know for sure he would be good to go.
I'm going to put this out there for the people right now because I'm this confident, okay? If Chris Gray does not suit up for the Redwoods at all this year, somebody that listens or watches this podcast will get a custom Chris Gray Redwoods jersey from us, okay?
Can it be somebody who records this podcast?
No, you're ineligible.
Damn it.
Terms and restrictions do apply. See show notes for details. But if Chris Gray does not suit up for the Redwoods once in 2024, we'll give away a Chris Gray jersey to somebody, particularly a Redwoods fan. All right? That's how confident I am because he's going to play, and then none of you fuckers are going to get a Chris Gray Redwoods jersey. All right? That's how confident I am in Nat St. Laurent, the GM, in Chris Gray, the player. It's going to work itself out, okay? We're still in this era of guys having 9-to-5 jobs, but also playing lacrosse. It's going to be fine. Chris Gray is going to suit up for the Redwoods. He's going to score a shit ton of goals alongside Ryder Garnsey, Westberg, RP3, and the rest of those boys. And it's going to be fine. So stop freaking the fuck out and just trust the process. Relax. Take a deep breath. Go walk outside. Breathe in some fresh air. It's going to be okay. Don't start off your California Redwoods inaugural season as California's team with a negative connotation just because one player is not playing. You still have fucking RP3, Westberg, Ryder Garnsey. You have a new look defense. That's going to be a lot of fun. These boys are going to be perfectly fine. Just relax. Woosah. It's funny how people are getting up in arms, Deej, about Chris Gray not suiting up, but Ron John's not on the roster. Where's Ron John? Huh? Where's he at? Relax. RELAX, everyone. But the rosters are out, Deej. Your protected players for the Redwoods this weekend, Alex Simmons, Ryan Tierney. Your protected players for Chaos are Ryan McNulty and Mark Lassini. For your New York Atlas, it's Lance Tillman and John Geppert. And then for the Denver Outlaws, it's Dalton Young and Alex Smith. And for your Utah Archers, where are they at? No, is the question. Here we go. It is Eli Fisher and Jack Van Overbeek, who I can't help but laugh when I see his last name because it's just very funny and just a great name. Should be a fun weekend. I'm excited. Our guy Colby Barr suiting up for the Archers again.
That's going to be dope. I'm excited just to continue, seeing guys ball out. That Archers defense actually did play pretty solid last week. And it's going to be excited, see some guys against Brennan O'Neill and Josh Zawada and the rest of that Denver offense they have going over there. But obviously, I'm really locked into game one, looking to see what my Redwoods have for me in 2024.
So I think without any further ado, should we head over to the pick pond, Deej?
Let's do it. I'm ready to dive in.
Feed some ducks. And it is time for the PLL Charlotte Picks of the Week, brought to you by Kenwood Beer. I know we didn't get graphics out in time last week because we were traveling, but I do have records from last week for the four of us, myself, you, Chase, and Hoots. But Picks of the Week brought to you by Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia and the Outside the Box podcast. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, only 120 calories, and just 8 grams of carbs. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Maryland, New Jersey, and Delaware areas.
Did I go 3-1 last week?
You did go 3-1 last week, I believe. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure you did. You can also get it at your local liquor stores in those markets. Also, check out the Kenwood Beer storefront. Brand new Grab a Kenny shirt in the store, plus the awesome Next Stop shirt. The pint glasses are there. The trucker hat is still available. They've got awesome stickers, beach towels, great merch, great apparel. It's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, you're in the lead to start the PLL season as you selected the Utah Archers to get the dub against the Water Dogs. You selected the Boston Cannons. You selected the Carolina Chaos. And you did select the New York Atlas to get the win. Now, I'm not going to say that you had different picks in your app selections.
I did screw up on one pick. It was only one pick that I screwed up on. It was the first game. For some reason, I had differing picks. But to combat that and no longer have that be an issue, I will have my picks up right in front of me and read them verbatim as we go through.
So you are 3-1 going into week 2. Myself, Chase, and Hoots are all 1-3 We all had the same picks.
And I went 2 for 2 on the app. So I think I did better over here, so it's okay. Actually.
So we start things this week with the first game, California Redwoods, Carolina Chaos, 6 Eastern, June 7th. How we feeling about the Woods and them Os boys?
I mean, come on. You know where I'm laying with this one. I got a few question marks. Obviously, not seeing Chris Gray on the the roster at first, and haven't seen them play yet. But I am not in the least bit worried. We have very good history against the now Carolina Chaos. We have 0 history against them, but the moniker of their team, Chaos, we have very good history against. 2-1 in the last 3 meetings. And I trust that good energy continues. And I got the Woods winning their opener.
It's a big-time emotional game. A lot of former Redwoods on that Chaos team now. Will that play into things? I don't know. Will those guys be up more for the game? I would assume so, yes. Do I trust the Dutch of Delco, that is Austin Kaut, to continue performing extremely well? Yes, because if there were more teams in this league, I'm sure he would be a starting goalie on one of those teams. That Chaos defense is nasty. They are tenacious, and they can move the ball around. I'm torn on this game a ton. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be high scoring, but I am leaning Redwoods simply because they have fresh legs. And my biggest concern about this Chaos weekend is they played one of the later games on Sunday. Now they're coming into this weekend with 2 games, and then their second game gets bumped up earlier. It's a lot of wear and tear on the legs. But I'm going to go with the Redwoods in a close one to get the dub to start their season 1-0. Then we move to 8:30 Eastern time. It's the Utah Archers, the Denver Outlaws. I feel like you and I are on the same page here.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Utah even before Sean Scanoni was hurt. Now I think it's just a chance for them to kind of really show who they are as a program, but it's a very uphill battle. And even if it turns out to be a close game, I think there's going to be some experience points for not only goalie play, but also just around the field where the Archers have that advantage.
When you said experience points, my brain just went to like a Pokemon leveling up. Shout out Polskis. Your Charmander just leveled up to level 14. Yeah, I'm going Archers. I do want to put this out there. It's not even a wager. It's just you and I seeing if we're on the same page here. Over under Archers made 2-pointers. I'll set the line at 2.5.
Under. And I think they're just gonna be playing the game. Think of that old school Whip Snakes hidden singles moniker. I think that's kind of just how they're going to be coming at this game. Let's not make this too complicated. Let's not try and do too much. Let's just be ourselves. And honestly, their offense is predicated around just moving the ball, moving their bodies. And they take a lot of shots from the inside and out in the crease. So I think that continues. And they're going to be hitting a lot more singles. I think you'll see some 2s. But the thing about 2s are they are easier to save because there's more space between the goalie and the shot. So I think it would be a mistake for them to come out and really fire a lot of 2s right away. That's going to give Owen McElroy a chance to kind of settle in. So I think they're going to be looking to pump them early, and you might see a 3 or a 2 or we might see a couple 2s go in, but more likely I think 1 than more than that.
What if I phrased it as 2 or more? I think we could see them make 2.
I would think twice about it. I think 2 is more likely than 4, but I still think you're seeing more. You're more likely to see
like that predicates on them just hitting 2 and then or more. I think Tom Schreiber could hit a 2, obviously. I genuinely think Mac O'Keefe can rip a 2 against Owen McElroy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that they can't, but
those are like the 2 guys I have in mind that like may try and like just put the game away from range. Those would be the 2 guys that I would say
Trey might.
That's true. Yeah.
They have the options there. I just don't know if they'll take them because, like, why do it when you don't need to? That's kind of my mindset on it. But hey, we'll see because none of us play lacrosse at that level.
I've never played, so I just like making scenarios happen. Then we move to ESPN2 prime time at 5 p.m. on Saturday. It's the New York Atlas. It's the Carolina Chaos. And guess what, Deej? I'm going with the hometown squad. I think the Chaos get a win here. They're going to be juiced up playing at home. I think there's going to be a bit of a sour taste in their mouth if our prediction from the previous game happens. And I think they're going to get a dub in prime time and show out for that Carolina crowd against everyone's darling team after week one. And I'm not saying the Atlas are a bad team, but a lot of premature anointing of them being like the best team in the league happened after week one. I think they're going to be great. I think they have a chance to be a playoff team and compete for sure. But I am going to go with the Chaos to get a win on ESPN2.
Bro, our picks are the same this week. I'm going to get very upset. But all I'm going to say is Blaze is not on the injury report because he's going to play one of these two games this weekend. And I don't think it's the first one. I think it's the second one. And what are the Chaos when Blaze plays? A very good lacrosse team. And what does this team actually do very well? Play in prime time on the big spot. This game is on national television. That's when these boys show up. I expect the defense to play well. I expect them to get a lot of help from the boy Blaze and net. And the offense is going to be flowing because that's what the offense does. And I don't see too many teams. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I don't see too many teams going 0-2 in their home weekend. And Chaos is not one of those teams I think would go 0-2 in their home weekend. So I'm going to give them the split over Atlas because I don't think my Redwoods are going to lose.
Yeah, and I mean, this will be real good analytics to see if Chaos do end up sweeping their homecoming weekend. It's like, okay, do we just have to pick every team that has a homecoming to sweep? But it'll be good data there for sure.
I think I would need a third weekend to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll see how things play out in Philly, which we may have a nice little announcement at the end of the show regarding Philly weekend for the people. Final game of the weekend, 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN Plus. It is your Maryland Whipsnakes taking on your Boston Cannons. I think we learned a lot from the press conferences from both of these teams. I still think the Cannons are a great team. But they're missing some pieces. And guess who's back for the first time since September 11, 2022 for your Maryland Whipsnakes? The man, the myth, the legend, friend of the program, Joe Nardella. I'm going Whipsnakes. I think they're going to make adjustments. I think they learned a lot from that game against the Atlas. And they're going to get the quote-unquote upset win over the Boston Cannons.
I'm thinking about this because I really don't know where I want to go with this.
Do you want to pick against your guy, Brian Holman?
No. And part of me wants to just have a different pick than you because things go well when we don't have the same picks. But there's a small part of me that goes, will this help you? And there's another piece of me going, look at last week against the same team. The Whipsnakes were right there, and that was without Joe Nardella.
Can I help you here?
Maybe.
I have Hoots' picks.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps sway you one way or the other, but Hoots is going Redwoods, Archers, Atlas, Cannons.
You have Chase's picks?
I can see if I can get them.
I'm just trying to think through this because, I mean, Joe's going to give them a ton of possession. Their offense did have some fluidity to it. Zed and Matt weren't touching the ball as much, but I mean, TJ,
yeah, that was weird.
Amazing. So,
For sure.
To have ran the offense through, you still had Channy doing his thing up top.
Ripping twos, 5th all-time. Shout out to the boy.
Yeah, no Wheaton Jacka boys. Keegan Khan wasn't much of a factor, but we don't know what we're going to get out of him this week.
Plus, it's another game under the belt for Drew Snyder. That was Drew Snyder's PLL coaching debut as an assistant coach.
I don't know if I trust.
But also the same can be said for Kyle Hartzell on the defensive end for the Cannons.
Right. My bigger problem here is both defenses have something I don't quite trust. I feel like Whip Snake's D mids are not as good. And we don't actually know what kind of goalie play we're going to get. We don't know if Krebs is going to start. We don't know if Bernlohr is going to start. And if Bernlohr starts, is he going to be in a better position than what he was last week? Although we know it was based off of him traveling after his state tournament and everything he had going on with his high school team. But we don't know how locked in he's going to be. On the flip side, I trust Colin Kearse immensely. I trust their short D mids immensely. But without Jack Kilty, that defense is missing a huge part. And we don't know if they're putting Zach Tucci out at stripe. And if they are, I don't know how much he's going to compete with Joe. And I don't know how much a random midfielder is going to compete with Joe. It's a lot stacking up against the Cannons. I think we're going to have the same picks this week. I'm going to go with the Whip Snakes.
So there are your picks, Lee. I'm sorry, I just saw the most. I'll bring it up when the picks music stops. Just a moment. So there are your Charlotte picks of the week, brought to you by Kenwood Beer. DJ and I both have the California Redwoods, the Utah Archers, the Carolina Chaos, and the Maryland Whip Snakes taking it home on Charlotte weekend. And those are your Charlotte picks of the week, brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer. The news I just saw has nothing to do with us. It's just a personal thing, and I know you'll feel the same way. It's kind of strange, and I hope it doesn't change the fit of these particular pieces of headwear that you and I both love, Deej. New Era is acquiring 47 brand.
Can we just end the episode?
Just please don't fuck up the hats. God damn it. Please don't fuck up that. We love they are not an advertisement. They were a dream for us. 47 brand makes but 47 brand and the PLL hats are here for us. They are the pantheon. Nobody can touch them. I just hope nothing changes. I hope the manufacturing stays the same. All that. Anyway, we have an awesome interview with our guy Michael Harrison on this week's episode to kind of get his story of getting into lacrosse, him finally having a team to root for in the PLL, and a whole lot more. It is a fun interview. But before we get into that, it is brought to you by our PLL app code. That's right, guys. It is still active. And we want you to keep on using that bad boy till the end of time. Download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store, or go to pll.app. When you go to the redeem code section in the app, you get 500 XP when you use code OTBPOD, OTB Pod for 500 XP. DJ and I have been using the app nonstop since it became a thing, but especially this weekend, it was so easy to use. I had it pulled up for stats in the press conferences to reference things. It is truly a genuine lifesaver. It's gamified. So you earn XP for doing a whole bunch of different quests, if you will, different, tasks within the app. And if you want to get off on a good foot to start the season, go to the redeem code section in the PLL app and use code OTBPOD for 500 XP on your account. Without any further ado, let's get into our interview with our guy, Michael Harrison. This episode of the Outside the Box podcast is brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. If you guys want to stand out in the crowd all PLL season long and rep your number one lacrosse podcast on the market, PHI Apparel Company is going to be able to do that for you. From shirts to hoodies, got you covered all season long. Hoping to have some new merch up throughout this summer so that you can look your best and stand out in the crowd at your favorite PLL weekend, gearing up potentially for the NLL later on this year and into 2025. Doesn't even feel like a real year. And of course, your favorite college teams as well. Go to phiapparel.co. It is linked in the description as well. And when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND to get 10% off your merch orders. It is the most effective and direct way to support everything that DJ and I are doing here at Outside the Box and everything we're doing at Underground Sports Philadelphia. So once again, go to phiapparel.co. And when you go to checkout, when your cart is filled to the gills with your favorite Outside the Box and Underground Sports Philadelphia merch, use code UNDERGROUND to get 10% off your merch order. Now let's get back into the episode. All right, everybody, it is a momentous day in OTB history. This is an interview and a guest that has been years in the making, somebody who has been a staple of the lacrosse community since I have been a part of it, and even before then, because obviously he has been banging that drum for quite some time. It is the man, the myth, the legend, the king of the drum himself, and a member of the Red Legion. You'll see him in Charlotte this weekend, rooting on his newly beloved Carolina Chaos, and that is Michael Harrison.
What's up?
Welcome to the show, man. It has been way too long for us to get this to happen, but it felt like a perfect moment for it to happen now that you have your team down in Charlotte, down in the Carolinas. It felt like the perfect moment. It's a perfect storm that, trading cards are here. We'll talk some of that, but first things first, thanks for coming on the show. Secondly, how much of a relief is it now that you finally have a PLL allegiance and a team to root for? Because if you don't know, Michael waited this entire time to, dive into having a fandom of a team in the PLL. His Twitter display name is still just Lacrosse Fan, which still holds true. He's one of the biggest lacrosse fans out there. But you finally have a team in the PLL. How good does that feel?
Oh, it feels good. It was easy. I know people are having a difficult time, like switching a team or something like that. But I just kept my fan free agency. Just easy to dive right in.
How excited were you, when the home cities roll out and you see, the teams that are around and you end up seeing that, the Chaos get Carolina, they're coming down to Charlotte for homecoming weekend. When that announcement comes through with all the home cities, what was your excitement level? What was just your overall vibe of, Andy Towers, Josh Byrne, Blaze Riorden claiming the Carolinas as theirs?
Oh, it's good. I mean, they're an exciting team. Andy Towers is like just, something totally different. Like you just watch all the videos put out and just you're like, yes, like let's just make. Like it makes you want to make just more noise and do something. Do something about it. Like, am I doing enough? Just watching,
right?
But yeah, pretty exciting. They have a good team. I mean, it's totally switched up now. Really, going from like a mostly box style, but yeah, I mean, they came out with that 1-0 win now, so good start. Look good. People look good. Rookies look good. New free agents look good. Yeah, it's exciting. Now we got the home weekend out there to make some noise.
Is Chaos who you would have picked? Like if it was up to you, would Chaos have been?
See, it's tough. It's tough because I just continued, like after losing the Hounds, is just continued just support the game and support the league and support the players. And then so it's like, okay, you got a team. So I didn't think it would be the Chaos. Like something in me felt like Carolina Chrome or Charlotte Chrome just felt like a good name. I know they had some like Duke kind of guys and stuff like that in there as well. So it felt like it was going to be the Chrome. I knew like the Hounds weren't going to be a name that came back because Water Dogs just felt like you can't have in an 8-team league, you can't have two dogs. It's just a little early to start having the same group of team names. So yeah, I mean, I was ready to dive in no matter what.
Let's
So
It didn't matter who it was.
Right. So do you still have that base layer of kind of just like I just to support the league and the players behind this Carolina? Because like
we still do.
I said we've seen in other sports teams start somewhere and then get transferred. I mean, look at the Riptide right now making their way over to Ottawa to be the Black Bears. So is there still that base layer kind of to be safe per se to always kind of have an avenue?
I think it would just be like pain, obviously, if like something happens and it's like, oh, lost him again, something happened. But I'm always going to support. I feel like lacrosse, like ever since I was introduced to lacrosse, pretty much, it was like, this is a great sport. Like I grew up with soccer a lot and I just enjoyed seeing lacrosse. Like it was fun. It was exciting. Like hitting people with sticks and stuff like that. All that is like, wow, there's a lot of energy into this. And so yeah, like it's a good sport. I think it needed something, which is why I started supporter group type thing. So you had these guys deserve more praise than I think they ever really get. And so I think it starts with like fans and supporting them and everything like that.
I do want to take it back to the Hounds and the Hound Legion days and what got you, diving into lacrosse to begin with and for it to evolve for you into, this overarching fandom that you've had for so long. And, we'll get into the drum as well, but what got you into lacrosse and then what kind of introduced you when they came to town to the Charlotte Hounds?
I guess it was 2011 when they really got announced. I follow lots of like sports design and stuff like that, and I knew the people that were kind of pushing in, like, were the front office of the Charlotte Hounds, because I had met a couple of them. Like they worked for like the Hornets and stuff, like, or the Bobcats when it was the Bobcats. And I like just messaged. I'm like, hey, I'm a designer. It's if there's anything you need, I'm happy to do it. So I just kind of became involved. I was like, okay. And then I was like, let's do, let's be a fan. Like, let's do, because like I said, I grew up in soccer and I know the soccer supporter culture and stuff like that. And I think supporter culture just changes the atmosphere around any sport, really. So I was like, let's try and do something. So I really just talked to somebody. He was actually someone from was a season ticket holder in Seattle for the Seattle Sounders, and he's used to that soccer culture as well. And so I was like, let's do this. So we started doing like a tailgate and marching from like a local brewery kind of thing and marching to the stadium. I mean, there's only like 10 of us at the first season or something like that going. Like some families joined us, but it was like, it's cool. Like, there's some noise.
During the MLL era, when it gets announced on the most like inconvenient day possible for anyone to make an announcement, being April Fool's Day, that all goes down. It gets announced the Hounds are going on a hiatus. As a fan and as somebody who's been at the forefront of an organization like that, like you said, you reach out, you get involved from Jump Street when that, and luckily I hope I never have to deal with that as a fan. And have not experienced that, but to see a team like announce a hiatus, which is like the lead up to teams going away.
Yes.
What is that feeling like for you as a fan to kind of, lose a connection to a team?
Well, me being like in like starting the supporter group as well for them, I remember like the first I posted a picture on Twitter and it was like me with like the hats, the helmets and stuff. And I was just like, well, I tried, I felt like it's like I tried to get more people to enjoy this, tried to get people to come. So it was like it hurt, but it was like, lacrosse is still here. So like let's go lacrosse. So it's like a switch up from like just going for your team to like just supporting the game in general. So but yeah, it was difficult.
That happens, and then shortly after, the PLL introduces itself to the world, and at that moment in time, we have the MLL still going on. We have the PLL now with 6 teams. I feel like, we got introduced to each other on Twitter very quickly as soon as OTB started. And then it really evolved in 2020 during the bubble. And we had Lacrosse Twitter after dark. We had everything going on, 10:30 at night games on the East Coast while they're out in Utah, and everybody's, tweeting on a Monday night during the summer. What is that like for you, having the sport kind of come back to you, but in a different sense where, like you said, it's go lacrosse, like let's root for the sport to succeed, and then having like that community kind of build up again where you're coming from the Hound Legion and having the supporter group there, and now it's kind of just like this collective like internet version of that, but the overarching fandom is just the entire league, the entire sport kind of coming together under one roof to just like, hey, we can't go and watch this in person right now, but we're going to root for it together through a screen and see what goes on while these players are out in Utah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always fun. It's kind of like what supporter groups are, like just getting together and watching with people that enjoy the same thing you do. So like Twitter during the bubble was just a huge thing. I mean, there's a book about it from PLL, like the PLL Island book, like and it's showing some of the tweets during that time. And it was just a big thing, like getting together and all enjoying something we all enjoy.
And now with Chaos in the fold, I think we've seen it showcase the most. And I think the Chaos branding down in Carolina, down in Charlotte with the other teams so far, they've gotten an opportunity to do it with a lot of overlap, especially with the Hurricanes. And you see Andy Towers and you see Blaze Riorden going and, sounding the siren and everything during the season, during the playoffs, and having that crossover. I've seen it a bunch with the major 4 sports in Philadelphia a ton where, you see a Joel Embiid at an Eagles or a Phillies game. Fletcher Cox is in the clubhouse celebrating with the Phillies during the playoffs and stuff like that. How cool is it to see it on the lacrosse level where you see AT and Blaze going down, to a Hurricanes game to go and support the team and kind of just automatically just buying into the community with, Carolina sports.
Yeah, I love it. I'm one of the first people that's like, hey, how do we get so and so to do this at this game? Like I know the Charlotte FC, the soccer team, even like they do a crowning of like someone local, and I'm like, how who do we get to do this? During a game or something like that. So like to see like both Blaze have been there and Andy Towers made it out there. It's like, yeah, that's so cool. Like hopefully other people see it and they enjoy it. I know there's lots of Canes fans started following Red Legion like a whole lot, like liking a lot of things, like see the same certain people. So a lot of Caniacs becoming Red Legion Legionnaires, I guess.
Love that. and we've been at the forefront of being on top of it with the supporter groups, and we have thought that idea was fantastic. Shout out to Libby Vandal, the best. To see something like the Hound Legion that was kind of your baby, and you built it and made it happen, and now kind of the Pokemon evolution from the Hound Legion to the Red Legion. How cool has the transformation been? And obviously you guys just had your first game watch party this past weekend. You also had the event earlier this week, and Josh Byrne was there kind of, in the mix with everybody. How cool has it been to kind of just see things elevate, to where they are now, and the potential that's there for things to just continue to grow with the Red Legion supporter group?
Yeah. Having like some kind of like backing or support is phenomenal. I mean, when I was doing it, it's really just a passion project for me, because I tell people anyways, like if I wasn't I mean, if we weren't backed by the PLL in any way, I'm still doing this. So to have that extra layer of just like some help, like, you know, they're helping out this and that, like getting us like a flag. We needed a flag real quick. You know, having a player involved and not saying it's like a chaos event. It's a Red Legion event and a chaos player is showing up. So like having that, it feels like, hey, the group is doing things, you know, like that we're getting the support from the team. Let's add more support for the team.
Yeah, I've loved seeing all of that from all the supporter groups across the board. Obviously, the New York Stampede had an event with Trevor Baptiste, and
Yeah.
seeing him get in the mix, and I'm sure it's only going to continue to evolve with all of the markets and everything as, you know, their homecoming weekends come up, and I'm stoked for Philly weekend as well, and
Yeah, I'm
getting
sure as
Philly
the weekends proceed, like
yeah.
they'll learn as well, and it'll just keep getting better for each thing.
And
I
that was
even
the
with
cool
the
part
trading
about
cards,
Albany.
I took Josh Byrne cards to hand out to any other kids that showed up. I was like, hey, you want to get him to sign this? Here you go.
That's cool.
So it was fun.
And that was the cool part about Albany that I noticed this past weekend was, you know, there was stands and QR codes set up with the New York Stampede logo on it. They were on the jumbotron at University of Albany Stadium, and you know, to see how seamless it's been for the PLL to just say, hey, yeah, like this is an idea we are behind. We are going to support it. You know, we are going to give them the means to succeed is a really cool new wrinkle to the league that I think is only going to help it, you know, continue to grow and reach you know, a newer demographic of fans that may not have
Agreed.
known simply because there's a home market attached to them now.
Agreed.
I say, what's it been like trying to branch out to fans now that you know you have a home market? Like it's a little bit tougher for me up here in the Midwest. Like I'm kind of just showing them these other teams that don't mean like anything
told
to
me.
us, you know. So like, what is it like having that conversation and showing people like the Carolina Chaos?
It's they like it at first, you know, but then you still hear about the tour model, and it's like, oh, so it's just a weekend because they've kind of like, oh, maybe I'll make it to another game. I can't this weekend. There's a wedding, so it's like you have to tell them you're just like, well, this is really the only weekend. So that's the only tough part right now. But I'm sure even over the year, like once we get this weekend, and you know maybe people see us on ESPN2, or we have more social content from this and we're able to post more about things, like people will be like, oh, look at this group, you know, for the lacrosse team, local lacrosse team. And then maybe next year and moving forward, it will just be easier and better for us to start moving towards the home and away at some point.
What was the watch party like for this first weekend? And then like, what do you expect those to like kind of look like?
I expect the watch parties to like really grow as people like know they're really happening and stuff like that. Because I know it's like you talk about watch parties and like people will be like, oh yeah, come in, and then you know certain people don't show up or something like that. So there's lots of excitement when you like post about it. But we had a good time. We had a couple people that we hadn't like had around us because we had the draft watch party, which we had a decent group for that. But the watch party was a little bit smaller, but we had fun, got to talk, have some pizza. So yeah, it was a good time.
And you know, kicking it back to just the Hounds era for you, we got to talk about the drum. I don't know if you've talked about this, you know, anywhere else outside of Twitter, really, but give us the backstory on the drum. And you know, was it kind of a weird feeling peeling the Hounds sticker off earlier this week and prepping it to deck it out in red and black for the chaos, and just give everybody listening and watching kind of the backstory on what got Michael Harrison to be the king of the drum?
Well, the guy that I'd said came from the Seattle Sounders like era, he found a drum for $20 at Goodwill. Nice big bass drum, I think it's 22-inch bass drum. So we started bringing it and just beating it because people like, I think we had a megaphone for a couple games or something, like just saying things, and people that really didn't want to listen to the megaphone from like someone just yelling out, and everybody else is just, they don't know what's going on. So they're just like, so we kind of got away from the megaphone, just make it a drum, and just, everyone knows defense, like just something simple. We got with the team, like someone from the front office was like, hey, our Mecklenburg County German, like with the Mecklenburg in Germany. So like we got the ziggy zaggy. We'll just do that. So every time there was a goal, it was like ziggy zaggy, oi, oi, oi. And we just beat the drum with it. So the drum, I had friends, like being a graphic designer, I had friends that were in print work and stuff as well. Had them make me big old sticker. Just got our logo, the Hound Legion logo, and the Charlotte Hounds logo put on there. But yeah, I had been wanting to do a bunch of things once we had the Carolina Chaos. I wanted to get like some red lights inside and stuff like it, and just get like all that. But it just came too quick for me, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I'm just like, okay, I gotta peel off the sticker. That's all I'm gonna do. I'll peel it off. Ask PLL if they have a big vinyl sticker of some sort they can get me. And it was rough. I was like, I asked my wife next to me. It was just like, hey, you mind take a video while I just peel this off, because I feel like it needs to be recorded. This whole transformation needs to be recorded. But yeah, it was like a new age, new era.
Have they gotten back to you about the sticker?
It should be on. I heard this week. I heard it should be on the way.
There we go.
Amazing. Can't wait.
It should be good for the game.
If there was one person from Carolina Chaos, or I guess, one person, coach, player, that you would have to give the honor to bang the drum, who would you give it to?
I'd want Andy Towers to bang the drum. I want him to jump in the stands, rip off his shirt, and just go at it. I know he would. I know he could do it. He might break the drum. I mean, it's an old piece of junk, but yeah, I think him banging on the drum would be amazing.
All right, we're gonna clip that, tweet it at AT so he knows the drill, and then we need somebody from ESPN to have a camera ready to go,
right when he's in there
and following AT along. Have him mic'd up, maybe, so we have Kark in his ear.
Like, that picture when they won the championship, like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I could see him just with the drum,
Now,
should probably just Photoshop that and just put the drum in front of him or something.
That would be sick.
Like, here's our dream.
So what if we just get like the entire Carolina Chaos to just come hang out with the supporter group post game, both days, because they do play the front. They play the front half on both days,
and that's what's tough too. I was like, if they kept that late game, like that would have been fun to like be the late game, allow some of the region to come down and just hang out for a bit. But yeah, they switched that ESPN too. I mean, I know you want to get us on TV, obviously.
Exactly, the stars of the show. You bring up AT ripping his shirt off, and DJ and I have said this for years since that photo came out, and obviously the trading card savant that you are.
Yeah.
Now that the PLL is in charge of the trading cards, we need to backdate and get coaches' cards. That needs to be AT's card.
I feel like he'd want a newer one. We got to win another championship, right?
Exactly.
Another championship, do another one.
And with the trading cards and everything, you are a big time trading card collector. You're a designer, which I think if Merch Guy Matt or Mike Rabel, which I know both of them are listening, you guys need to hire Michael to do a set of cards because your work is phenomenal, brother.
Sure.
What was the overall excitement to see the trading card rollout? Obviously, everyone kind of got privy to it draft night when they did the little sneak peek teasers and everything. But as somebody who has been at the forefront with trading cards, not only with the PLL, not only with Lacrosse, but just in general, you're a huge trading card collector. How fun is it to have a sport that is so close to your heart kind of get the treatment of the trading cards, whether it was from Topps and now it's with the PLL. How fun is it seeing kind of just that evolution in the trading card space?
Oh, it's a lot of fun having Lacrosse to collect, because I was with the pandemic when all that happened, all the cards were going crazy. I was picking like a rookie from like my sports teams, like the Hornets or the Panthers, and just kind of like picking one person and collecting them. Then it was like Lacrosse coming out. I'm like, we'll just screw all those right now. Like, let's collect Lacrosse. Like, I enjoy my home teams, but I really enjoy Lacrosse as well. So them to continue as well is great. I mean, I feel like they had a good thing with Topps. It felt weird to change after 1 year of the hobby release with Topps, but a lot of things are changing in the hobby. I know with Topps and Fanatics and stuff like that. So I hope they did. I mean, it seems like they did their homework on a lot of things. I know some people may not feel like it's like they're listening to the community or anything, but like the cards look good, and if they're gonna end up listening a little more and stuff like that, and like take some advice or input here and there. I mean, you can't take everybody's input, obviously, because then you're just gonna have like this jumbled mess of a card. But yeah, they look good, and I'm excited to have them now. Now that I have a team too, it's like, oh, chaos cards.
There you go.
So yeah,
we've seen the PLL partner up with artists and designers for a plethora of things. Blake obviously with the shirts a couple years ago and all of his work, and we've seen him do a ton of trading card stuff with Topps in the past. Outside of yourself, if there was an artist or a designer or anything that you would say PLL needs to do some sort of set collection with this artist, who would you want to see them partner up with?
well, there's definitely some like Lacrosse designers that I feel like I would want as well. You got like Neil Barrett, and Jackson Hallman, and Chris Ramirez. Like some of those designers, like I feel like they would make some good art type cards as well. Then I would go with some of the ones that did stuff for Topps. So like Blake, I love Blake's work. I have some of his stuff. I have an autographed card of his even. So yeah, some of that stuff would be cool. I do think it would be an awesome thing to do, to try, because people would probably buy. Like, you make a Paul Rabel like art card of some sort, like people are gonna buy it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we see the goal getters card that went for over
yeah.
$2,000 on eBay. Crazy stuff like that. Like anything with Paul Rabel's
Those
name
were
attached
auctions.
to it. Yeah, you're gonna see it fly off the shelves. But I think we need the 4 designer horsemen of Lacrosse Twitter: you, Jackson, Chris, and Neil. The PLL needs to get you guys in a room and kind of just let you work on a set together. And it's like the Lax Twitter artist collection or something like that.
Exactly.
And make it happen.
It'd be fun.
I think that would be cool, just from the aspect of bridging, even more so than the PLL has done, the fan with the league.
You know what just came to my mind? I know like some of the like NFL has like a card where they got like the cleats or something like that. Kicks by Carly.
Yes.
A card, it shows like a close up of the glove or cleat, and then the player wearing them or something like that on the card. Like something like that, even. That's gonna be cool. That pushes out other people that have been supporting you. Because I know Carly's been around. So.
Yep, friend of the show. She's the best.
Like stuff like that. Like people that are involved, and you can kind of like do stuff like that. It's not like, hey, here's an influencer card or anything,
right?
Which I know like Topps does now, but it's more of like, here's someone that's been connected and has helped us grow as a league. I think
that would be really cool.
I'd jot that one down.
Yeah, Mike, if you're listening,
which you are,
what's your excitement level for this weekend with Chaos Homecoming weekend and seeing, everything that happened this past weekend in Albany from, the comfort of your home and seeing it on TV how things went in New York. What's the excitement for this weekend, where in years past with the PLL in Charlotte, it's kind of just been, the league, but now it's going to be catered to a hometown team. There's going to be, that home field advantage, if you will. And, just kind of the weekend being the focal point is the Carolina Chaos.
Yes. The first picture I saw, like where the Atlas flags were flying, I was like, yeah, there we go. Like, that's awesome. Love to see it, So I'm like, what's this stadium going to look like in all this red and black? Because the teams that have played there are in blue and stuff like that. And I don't know if it gets decked out how the PLL has a lot of their signage. So it'd be awesome to see that whole place like in red. And then I know the light poles, because it's a newer renovated place. The light poles can change colors like whenever they want. So like, I know those are going to be like going red and black and stuff like that. I think that would be so awesome. The stadium's going to look so nice that, no other field lines. I know we all like that.
Yes.
So the stadium's going to be looking good, I think.
Yeah, I think you guys kind of have a step up because it is more of a professional stadium. So there's kind of a few more amenities that you don't see at the college level that, like, kind of like what Albany has is a little more tailored to the college experience and what it's like for those fans rather than a professional sporting event. So there's kind of like the lights and figures around the stadium. Like those are kind of things you guys can use to play off of.
Oh, and the one end behind the scoreboard that is Charlotte skyline. Just, it's an amazing stadium. The placement of the stadium when they built it in the 20s was absolutely amazing. They didn't know that there was going to be a skyline like that, though.
We need the ESPN cameras there immediately.
Gosh. I mean, I know Liam with the league is taking some great pictures of that skyline.
How much, circling back to the trading cards real quick too, how much do you think in terms of just like the turnaround and the less hoops to jump through it'll be, since the PLL is producing everything and they have the rights to the photos, that there's less of that clearance that they have to go through with Tops, or if they went to a different company, how much of an ease do you think that's going to be from their side of things, just knowing like, hey, these photos are our intellectual property, we own the rights to these photos, we don't have to like license them out to anybody?
Yeah I think it should be pretty simple for them, as long as they know. I mean, if they know what they're doing, and which, like we said, like the cards look good, I mean, it should make it a whole lot easier, I feel. I mean, you don't have to worry about going through others. Like I know Mike said on his one-of-ones with Paul, is that just that ease of turnaround and being more flexible. So yeah, like if they have the Hall of Famers come and they just want to put out, a 5-card pack of the Hall of Fame class, like they can just do that and not worry about anything else. They have the images, they have the stuff. So yeah, I think that's a good point from them, and I hope it works out.
And, this weekend, obviously the double header, and we got our first taste of it last week with the Atlas, and they were able to absolutely dominate in their double headers. But you kind of get the nighttime feel. It's lacrosse at night down in Charlotte. How fun is that for you as a fan to kind of see, like, the league come to your home state, your home city, and you kind of get to showcase it at night, and it kind of have that big game feel as well?
Oh yeah, it's always fun to be in that nighttime, and just it changes the energy, I feel. Instead of just being baked in the midday sun, so you just you don't feel like you're just like just waving stuff around, maybe using the trading cards to keep it cool, but but yeah, that sun starts going down, just feels like the energy just builds, and like even the game just feels different, maybe because I know like a couple years ago we had that Water Dogs Whip Snakes game, and that went into overtime at night, and it's like it became like that was banging the drum. There were people that started just chanting, like they wanted the water dogs, they want the whip snakes. Just really, really just changes the whole atmosphere.
100%. And
Yeah.
you know, Chaos get to kick things off against two big time opponents. The Redwoods' first game, and then and it's weird to say it because Carolina's on the East Coast, but it's a cross conference matchup. West Coast, East Coast against the Atlas. What's the excitement level for those two matchups? And obviously coming as, you know, Michael Harrison, fan of lacrosse, to now having the Carolina Chaos. How fun is it going to have for you to be in the stadium and have that rooting factor for a team to get behind and be able to, you know, give that fandom to a specific team?
There's definitely the nervousness of not knowing what the Redwoods are really bringing, because they had their bye. And then
I can tell you what they're not bringing, because breaking news, because all the game day rosters are out. You don't have to worry about Chris Gray.
Okay.
Chris Gray is not on the roster this weekend for the Redwoods.
That was a big piece for them moving to them. But yeah, and then the Atlas just totally looking like a monster. So it's a little, there's the nerves, but like I feel like our team really like stepped up, even, you know, after Blaze going down, a couple things happened, a couple goals happened, stuff like that. And it's like oh, it's 10-8, you know, like, oh no, are we going to be able to come back? And then it was like a complete turnaround. The offense just blew up, and defense and Cout in goal just made some big stops. So yeah, I'm like, you know, they got that week together, and let's see how the second week goes. They're a little more comfortable with each other, know how each other playing. The rookies, you know, get that rookie this out of here.
And a little more breaking news for your Carolina Chaos. Active this weekend is goalie Blaze Riorden.
Is he? Will he start?
That's a good question.
Will he start? I'm glad to hear that it's not. Man, it's just gonna be like a sore knee. So hopefully he's good. It will be interesting to see if he starts. I know a lot of people, even at the watch party, were like, "Oh, it's such a bummer," you know. Like, yeah, but I felt like Blaze would have traveled still.
Yeah,
just knowing them, I feel like Blaze will be here, because we didn't even pick up like a goalie, did we?
No.
We didn't like have a guy move up. We didn't have Adler move up. So
yeah, no, not at the moment. But I think that's because they're laid out.
Yeah, they're just no
place.
So I was like, maybe he'll be like dressing and be like just a backup just in case. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's good for like the homecoming weekend and just have arguably the face of the franchise.
Yeah,
you know, at the forefront for you. Michael, you're the best. We'll have to do this again for sure, and we'll have to make our way down to the Carolinas and do a live card opening at some point, because that definitely needs to happen. But let everybody know where they can follow you and you know, keep up with everything that you're doing design wise, trading card wise, and obviously banging that drum.
Well, I'm Harrison MVH on just about every social. So Harrison MVH, Michael Harrison. We got the Red Legion. I believe on Twitter it's Red Legion _. But yeah, that's our supporter group for the Chaos. Make some noise.
Let's go. I'm looking forward to seeing everything from the comfort of my home this weekend. That's going down in the Carolinas with the Carolina Chaos homecoming weekend. And Michael, you're the best. We appreciate everything that you do for the sport, supporting us. And this will not be the last time you guys see Michael Harrison on OTB. That's for sure.
Absolutely not.
Appreciate it.
Shout out to Michael Harrison. That will not be the last time you hear his voice or see his face on this show. He is the best, and that was a long time coming to have him on the show, and I can't wait to see him banging that drum down in Charlotte, repping the Carolina Chaos. Last bit here before we hop on out of here. Philly weekend is next weekend. Deej will be here. We'll be at Villanova, Nova Nation. Shout out to the dogs. It's Water Dogs homecoming weekend for the boys. By the looks of it, if you're going to be at Villanova for Water Dogs homecoming weekend, which we still are working on the announcement to give away our homecoming pass tickets, don't worry, that will happen. People will be sitting in our seats for sure. We did not forget. The other part is Saturday, June 15th, is looking like the ideal day for it to happen just because of time gaps. We're doing a live show. It is the OTB Week 3, second annual Week 3 live show. That's what we should market it as. It's the Week 3 live show. We're working on just the details. It should be very simple to get put across, but DJ and I, live show, hopefully having some players, coach or two, a whole bunch of stuff. We're working on the logistics. Shout out to Danny Passavoy and Grace Hamilton, because they are the best in making this happen, and obviously Mike Rabel and Paul Rabel. And hopefully we'll be able to put the episode out after, unlike last year, because we have better amenities for it. But live show is about, I would say, 80% happening as of right now, ironing out that last 20% and just all the things we need. But this has been like months in the making, because it was approached to me during Champ Series about doing it, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And it's super special for me, obviously being a Philly sports fan and being, from the Philly area, to be able to do a live show during a sports league's weekend there is super cool, and it's something I've always dreamt of doing, no matter what team it was for. And to do it for a newly anointed Philadelphia team weekend and homecoming weekend for the Water Dogs is really, really special. And I can't wait. I'm super pumped about it. CFO Margie's going to be there, so you'll all get to meet the CFO if you haven't already. I don't know if Chase is coming or not. I know he's thought about coming up to Philly, but he could be there, which would be dope. But yeah, we're doing live OTB probably June 15th, in between game 1 and game 2. And if you are going to Philly, just know it is very similar to Ohio last year, if you were at Ohio, where Saturday it's a separate ticket for game 1 and game 2. Just so everybody knows. But Sunday, it is one pass. But I think it's just a TV thing more than anything because of the ABC stuff. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. But yeah, live show, Deej. We're back. We're back doing the live stuff.
I mean, we love the live shows. Live shows are always fun. If you're in the area, please stop by. We'd love to interact, love to talk to you, love to get to meet people. And maybe, just maybe, you'll get a little spotlight on the show for a second. Never know what's going to happen. But yeah, seriously, come by, see what we got going on. And live shows are always fun. Yeah, I'm just super excited to get back out, and hopefully we have some great things to talk about and some awesome people on board.
Yeah, so gear up for that. And again, keep subscribing to the pod so that we can do more live shows and more fun stuff alongside the PLL. Because the more you guys subscribe, the more you guys interact, the more you guys follow, the more dope shit we get to fucking do. And it's really awesome. And we appreciate every single one of you guys for making it happen. But shout out to Michael Harrison for hopping on the show. And this has been episode number 326 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast. Be sure to follow us on the socials at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, across the board. Check out Underground Sports Philadelphia on LinkedIn. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Smash the like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below. And of course, subscribe to the Outside the Box podcast YouTube channel as well. Piecing together the Albany vlog footage that is there. Because, was doing a lot on my phone, and trying to get that transferred over to one computer to then email to another computer is a ton of fun. And we will also have our impromptu live card opening with our guy Offball Lax going up on the OTB YouTube channel pretty soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that one as well. And shout out to Lizzie Colson. She wrote a book, Deej. Lizzie's the best.
It'd be awesome to read when it pops out.
And we are working on getting Lizzie on the show pretty soon. So very much looking forward to that. And of course, guys, like we mentioned at the top of the show, OTB presented by Shootout For Soldiers. Click the link in the description. Check out their website. See all of their events dates. Sign up and register for one if you are in that area, or if you're able to attend one of their events. We're going to try to hopefully work on getting to one if our schedules permit, one way or another. But check out Shootout For Soldiers. Link is in the description to their website. It's in our link tree in our bio as well. And very much looking forward to everything we have coming with Shootout For Soldiers. So shout out to them. And we will be back next week breaking down everything from Charlotte, anything that pops up in the lacrosse world, and getting set for Philly weekend, a Philly regular season weekend on deck. Can't wait. But enjoy this weekend of lacrosse, and we will see you guys on the next one. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. Peace.
Peace.